Welcome to a what if video regarding the Final Fantasy V single job challenges. A simple video asking the question, what if you unlocked every job at the start of the game? What would that look like for each of the job challenges? The 6 Wind Crystal jobs, along with Freelancer and the 4 GBA jobs were all done officially, outside of Wing Raptor, but who cares about him? That accounts for 11 of the 26 jobs. So what about the other 15? Before I work through these jobs on a crystal by crystal basis, just know that every job has the exact same potential start. There are 2 things that you need to succeed in Final Fantasy V: damage output and survivability. Damage usually comes in the form of weapons and magic or job-based abilities. Survivability is usually based entirely around your level and access to healing. Daggers are the go-to weapons for every single job in this series. Every job usually gets access to dagger plus job unique weapon. The only jobs that can't equip daggers are White Mage, Monk, and Oracle, which are conveniently already finished, baby. That means every remaining job has access to daggers. The generic start for every single job is that you're forced to use Lena and Ferris's starting daggers, unless you can use swords, rods, or staves from Tool. Daggers should be considered the baseline for all weapon types. And because every job has access to them, they're surprisingly decent. I've harped on most jobs having very limited access to healing in these runs. No access to reliable high potions is a big problem in Bartz's world. Healing with 50 HP regular potions is almost a waste of a turn when you're getting clobbered for over 120 damage a turn, sometimes across the entire party. It's very difficult to keep up with that kind of damage only using regular potions. Lack of healing is a problem for most of the jobs, but it's mostly a problem of convenience. Mold Winds in the Wind Shrine can drop elixirs, and certain enemies in the ship graveyard also drop them. Even zoos near Karnak drop them occasionally. If push ever comes to shove, every single job can hunker down and grind elixirs at various points in the early game if they need to win a battle strictly through attrition. That kind of applies to levels too. If any job is truly struggling, leveling up is always an option. The higher your level, the more HP you get, and the more potential healing every elixir gives you. In a truly nightmare scenario, you can always farm for endless levels and enter battles with 99 elixirs farmed in the Wind Shrine from Mold Winds. That should mean that every single job can win to its unlock point via blending countless Mold Winds to death and meat grinding through tough battles by spamming elixirs. But that much grinding sucks, so most people, myself included, will do everything in their power to avoid doing it. Now to get into the individual jobs. I've done a couple of these, but many of them are kind of redundant, incredibly simple and easy, or require far too much grinding to get footage for. I will be resorting to PowerPoint Buster, you have been warned. The water crystal's only like an hour into the game, so let's go ahead and start there. Red Mage peaks in Karnak, and it's at its strongest at the very start of the game. You just start up, get yourself some cash, then you head to Tool and equip everyone with swords. Then you can buy the White and Black Magic Suite, and you're set. Knight and Black Mage just cruise through the early game. Red Mage is a little bit like being those two combined, just slightly weaker in all aspects. Oh yeah, and it also gets White Magic. Red Mage easily blasts Carlobos with Thunder. Siren would suffer with swords, followed by a Fire or Cure when undead. Then once you get to Carwin, Red Mages get new White Magic spells and long swords. Magisa gets completely shut down with Silence, and Red Mages can use Protect and sit in the back row to neuter Forza's damage output when he inevitably shows up. Magic trashes both of these two though, especially Forza. You can just put him to sleep and spam spells for a free win once he shows up. Flying on Hiryu means Red Mages can get the heal staff from Tycoon Castle for costless single target healing. Then it's just going straight to Garula in the Walls Tower. The Walls Tower has Rickert Mages, which can drop smashable flame rods. That being said, Garula shouldn't be a problem for Red Mages. Red Mages can sit in the back row with Protect on and simply sit back and heal or cast defensive magic until Garula dies. That's when Red Mage unlocks for real. A totally painless early game. The pain with Red Mage comes later when it's fallen off. Mystic Knight is a lot like Red Mage, where it's another total freebie. Just straight into Tool and grabbing swords and shields this time, along with just the black magic. Carlobos is getting cooked with Thunder Spellblade. Siren, along with the undead enemies in the ship graveyard, are all susceptible to fire damage. After a sizzling Siren encounter, it's into Carwin for new swords and spells along with an item restock. Then it's just getting to the top of the North Mountain, where Magisa's getting told to shut up with Silent Spellblade. Forza can be dealt with via potions and Mystic Knight's natural defenses. Oh, right, and Sleep Blade? You can put Forza to bed, finish off his wife, and then say nighty-night to Forza with Sleep Blade over and over again. That just leaves Garula in the Walls Tower. Could be a bit of a pickle for old MK. Stopping your attacks to chuck some potions and healing is always a relevant strategy for Garula. Shields will help a lot to mitigate a lot of the incoming damage from counters. Garula should be pretty easy, and once he falls, he smashes the water crystal, and that's where the run starts. For real. I'm gonna combine Summoner and Time Mage here since they're essentially the same until Walls. The game knows when the jobs become available, so they don't really give you their unique weapons, abilities, or spells until you actually get access to them. You'll be schlepping it with Lena and Ferris's starting knives until you get past Carlobos. That means relying on potions or elixirs to heal. Spoiler alert, potions are more than enough, even for dinky melee mages, as long as you are high enough level. Once you're in the ship graveyard, your best course of action right away is to just sit here fighting skeletons. Skeletons will rarely drop daggers, and getting at least 2 to outfit the rest of the party with a weapon is a good idea. Lena's starting knife is weaker than a dagger, so grinding 3 daggers is recommended. There's a rest site to recover inside the starting ship, so you can stay here indefinitely until you've got your 3 daggers. Any job that can use a knife can do this, and honestly, it's probably worthwhile in any scenario you're forced to use one. Grinding 3 extra daggers really doesn't take that long. Once you're knifed up, it's just running over to Siren and slicing her to ribbons. Even melee mages can beat Siren relatively easily as long as you've stocked up on potions. Undead Siren obviously gets the usual offensive potion chucking treatment. Carwyn has new gear and spells, but not for Time Mage or Summoner. The Frost Rod is available here, and it's gonna get smashed on Magesa's face. There's no need to subject ourselves to Forza's Frenzied Fist this time. Magesa's just on ice. Time Mage can use the healing staff from Tycoon, but Summoners are out of luck. If I was a Time Mage, I'd go get it. Down into Walls, the first set of spells becomes available for our boys. Unfortunately for Time Mage, this is all support stuff. Fortunately, it's haste and slow, which is like a collective 4-to-1 turn ratio versus a slowed enemy. Still, I would've liked Gravity. Summoner gets Sylph for a self-heal, Chocobo for damage, and Remora for paralyze. But Wizards casting Knife and physically attacking up the Walls Tower is completely viable, albeit pretty slow. Summoner is easily capable of beating Garula by virtue of the back row, and throwing out Remora to paralyze him. Afterwards, you can use Chocobo for efficiency, or Sylph to deal damage and heal your party if you get countered. A pretty simplistic and easy way to take out Garula. If you were really struggling, you could even go back and fight Shiva and get a damage boost, but I think Shiva's a little bit harder than Garula here. Time Mage is going to have a harder time with no offensive magic. Opening up with Slow on Garula to give him half turns, followed by Haste and Regen on your entire party, does make this pretty goofy though. You got half turns on Garula and double turns for your party. That time discrepancy should be more than efficient to take swings at Garula with dinky daggers, and relying on potions to heal any and all counters. That's along with the very occasional turn that Garula's gonna get himself. Not to mention, Regen does some work here, even though it kinda sucks in 5. Both Summoner and Time Mage should be able to do Garula rodless, but Rickard mages in the tower drop Flame Rods. It's totally reasonable to just farm one from a random battle, then get into a battle with Garula, damage him just a little bit, and then blast him with a Fire 3 straight out of that broken rod. Once Garula's down, Time Mage and Summoner are unlocked for real, and the runs start as usual. The Berserker is not in a great position starting out. There's only 2 knives to start, and with no access to in-combat healing, it means you have to win all of your battles via pure attrition. Thankfully, you can pick up some shields and tools, so that will be helpful early on, since enemies and most bosses physically attack anyways. There's no way around this. Berserkers are gonna have to grind excessively to meat grinder down the bosses, starting with Carlobos. Once he's down, this is just like Summoner and Time Mage. Berserker is grinding for 3 daggers at the ship graveyard. Yes, 3, because Lena's starting knife is just weaker. Berserkers always need all the help that they can get. Stay in the starting zone until you get 3 more daggers, using the rest site as needed. Eventually, you're just gonna have to grind Siren attempts, or grind level ups, which will be a bit rough. Once Siren turns undead, she's gonna hit you hard and get beefed up defenses. If Siren ever gets Protect or Haste early on, I'd probably just reset and try again. Eventually though, you will come out on top. Berserkers beat everything else. Of course they'll be able to beat Siren eventually. Once you're free from the ship graveyard, you can get new gear in Carwyn, but you're still hard stuck with daggers. New armor and shields do help a bit, but the EXP also increases here so you can grind a little faster. Magesa and Forza shouldn't be too much of an issue. Once again, this is all levels and attempts. Standard Berserker fare. Once you eventually beat them, it's down to the Walls Castle, where you can finally get some axes, new shields, and armor. Gorilla is a physical monster. You just have to kill him before he kills you. It'll likely take several attempts and grinding to a much higher level than usual. But Berserker should be more than capable of getting through. Those shields are gonna help a lot. Once Gorilla's down for the count, you unlock Berserker for real. And the run continues just like the rest of the SJC did. Putting your controller down and hoping for the best. Mime may be a little redundant since it's basically just freelancing it. Mimes don't even unlock until you've basically beaten like the entire game. The Mime playthrough is essentially identical to Time Mage and Summoner early on. Beat Carlobos, farm daggers, and beat Siren to get to Carwin. At that point you get access to a single Frost Rod, which you should be able to smash and mime to easily beat Magisa. You should be able to continue miming that single smash Frost Rod through random battles and Garula all the way to Karnak. But if for some reason you run into an issue, farming a Flame Rod from Rickard Mages is an option for Mime to destroy Garula easily. Once you get to Karnak, you're basically home free. You're gonna farm up those wild knacks to get Gil for Mithril Knives so you can farm them up even faster. Then you're gonna use that Gil to buy Elemental Rods and smash them on anything in your way, potentially miming them for extra efficiency. Rod smashing is gonna destroy everything easily. Liquid Flame gets a Frost Rod, Ifrit gets a Frost Rod, Byblos will fall to 1 or 2 Fire Rod smashes. Then the Sandworm, Crayclaw, and Adamantoise should go down in a handful of rods at most. The Soul Cannon will take more, but Mimed Thunder Rods will crush it before it ever gets a Wave Cannon off. The only nuance here would basically just be Archeoavis since his final form is immune to elemental damage. Mimes will be forced to melee him down. Freelancers use Death Sickles here, which Mimes simply can't. Oddly enough though, they can use boomerangs, so the 2 Moonring Blades from the Fireship and Ronka Ruins are going to be helpful in that regard. The main Gauche and maybe a handful of elixirs should be more than enough to carry you through to a victory on Archeoavis. This is the one time that you're forced to melee, by the way. A couple of Flame Rings will also help negate a lot of Archeoavis' damage, and they're useful against the crystals in Galoop's world, so I'd probably get at least one. The rest of the Mime run will basically be the same. Mime does get less gear options than Freelancer, but Rod Smashing is always your ideal scenario without access to job abilities. That's the Water Crystal covered. Moving on to the Fire Crystal in its 2 parts. Geomancer might actually be a little interesting because Gaia is available right away. Cute, starting Breathwing, but Wing Raptor is instantly destroyed with a Wind Slash. How's that feel, idiot? Gaia's Gust is pretty strong early on. It's killing everything better than these daggers could ever hope to. Will that continue in the Torna Canal with Carlobos? Whirlpool does nothing. I mean, we knew Carlobos was heavy from Oracle only. Surprisingly enough, Tsunami still does damage, and it's a heck of a lot of it. It's worth the occasional Whirlpool whiff, especially on my daggerless Geomancers. A couple of potions were all I needed to beat Carlobos thanks to Gaia. As for the ship Graveyard, I could grind more daggers, but Gaia's given out outdoor Tsunamis and indoor Ignis Fatuus. Ignis Fatuus is a fire attack that also confuses. That's a double whammy for old Siren. Weak to fire and vulnerable to confuse. She's completely cooked. Carwin's got new equipment and items, so I may as well partake. Psych! No need. Geomancer's heading up the North Mountain. Ha! Geomancer dodges the poison flowers too. Hilarious. Majisa's darting Lena and getting her head blown off with Gust. She calls out Forza, but Earthquake hits them both for over 500 damage. Geomancer is actually good early game? Who could have guessed that one? Anyways, I won. After Majisa, you may as well head back to Tycoon Castle for the Diamond Bell. It's back row okay after all. Walls Tower, Schmalz Tower. Gorilla's getting absolutely trounced with Wind Slash. The top of the Walls Tower is obviously like the Void in Neo Extet's fight. Wind Slash is all that seems to come out in here. 3 turns is all it takes to beat Gorilla. I did a brief, and I truly mean brief, grind session on Nax. Mostly for the Mithril gear in Karnak. I'm only level 14 going into the Fire Ship, which is giving out wind-based Geomancy. Okay guys, whatever. You're not even gonna give me a Flaming Ignis Fatuus? I guess that's okay, because Liquid Flame's the boss here, but he absorbs wind damage, which is all that I'm throwing out. I guess I'm resorting to my backup strategy that I never once employed in my SJCs. Liquid Flame's Tornado form has a limited MP pool. You can hit Liquid Flame into Tornado form, then just wait for it to run itself out of MP while it spams Fire on itself. While you're waiting, you can use this as an opportunity to fully heal yourself with basic potions. Once Liquid Flame's out of MP and your health is full, it's just a matter of whacking Liquid Flame into new forms. You tank whatever inevitably gets thrown out of you, until he cycles back to Tornado form. At which point, you just stop and heal yourself to full with potions. This is all while Liquid Flame fails to cast Fire on itself since it's out of MP. This strategy actually turns a fairly difficult fight into a complete stomp. Why did I never do this in any of the SJCs? Well, my friends, it's clear that I'm stupid and lazy. I mean, it's boring and slow. You know me. My strategies are mostly to grug it until I win, or it stops working. With Liquid Flame obliterated by the sleepiest guy in town, I just gotta get through the Karnak escape sequence. There's a standard grabbing of the gauche, along with the elf cape, and as many elixirs as you can hide in those pajamas. Gickuses are a bit of a problem because the Fire Castle of Karnak only has wind-based geomancy, which they absorb. Oh well. The lowly Diamond Bell and Mithril Knives are enough to eventually kill a Gigas. Not even breaking a sweat, even though this place is covered in flames. With that complete, Sergeant and Nax are no problem for Geomancy. And as Karnak explodes, Geomancer unlocks for real. Cool. I sure hope Geomancer's early game power continues through the rest of the SJC. Haha. Beastmaster is a physical job, and I doubt it would struggle much in the early game. You get Calm at 10 ability points. This allegedly inflicts stop on an enemy. As far as I know, this is bugged and doesn't work, but I'd be a big idiot and try in vain to get it to work, I'm sure. Knife swinging and potion chucking is probably more than enough for Beast to succeed, but I did some research and looked into the few catch and release options you have early game. This is all going to be purely theoretical because I didn't test any of them. But it is what I would try knowing what I know now. Right off the bat, the basic goblins outside of Tool have Flare as a release, which is no doubt just an in-joke from the devs. These goblins have 16 HP, so it's going to be super difficult to actually catch them because they're so easy to kill. Even bare-handed punching is probably going to kill them in one hit at level 1. Flare's damage will also probably not be super impressive since Beastmasters have a low magic stat, but it's still Flare, just good luck catching one of those goblins. A lot of chicanery is available from catch and release, but I would probably just go for old reliable, quote-unquote strong attack. This is available from many enemies. Black goblins in the Wind Shrine have it, and I'd probably use those to get through to the ship graveyard. Then it's farming 3 daggers as usual. Shouldn't need much else besides daggers and potions to beat Siren as a Beastmaster, but you could snag some skeletons. Skeletons do Thundara on release. Likely better than spamming potions on Undead Form Siren, but worth the time and effort? Doubtful. You can try and get some big horns or tattoos on the way to the North Mountain for even more strong attack. Those strong attacks hopefully crush Magisa before Forza even shows up. But if not, he's getting cut down. Uniquely, Beastmaster can use Magisa's guaranteed whip drop, which would make Garula specifically free with its Paralyze. You could also try and do a weird combo of catch and release with an Elf Toad from the Walls Tower and a Killer Bee from near Tycoon Castle. Elf Toads use Frog Song, which would be Toad on Garula. You follow this up with a Killer Bee for a potential silence. If it landed, you'd have a permanently toaded Garula though, and that means a free fight. Otherwise, you could just get 4 times Elf Toads to chain toad Garula while your party attacks, or snag some tattoos or bighorns from outside. 4 chain toads on Garula should be enough to kill him easily though. Into Karnak, a grind session is a good idea just to get that new mithril gear on a couple of levels. Liquid Flame absorbs wind damage, so Zoo's Breathwing is out. Wild Nax and Grass Tortoises also provide strong attack. Releasing these should be stronger than any physical attack you have. I mean, for the effort you have to put in to catch them, they better be. The Geomancer strategy of running Liquid Flame out of MP and healing whenever it's in tornado form will work in a pinch for Beastmaster. Which leads you into Karnak's escape sequence, and that's another opportunity to grab the gauche and an elf cape. Beastmasters are probably just smacking everything around inside with basic attacks. Using strictly basic attacks is probably how I'd handle all of Beastmaster only up to this point, honestly. I just hate using catch and release. But those sandbears are on the horizon. Ninjas are easily one of the best jobs in Final Fantasy V, so this shouldn't be a problem, even if they are woefully under-equipped. You need 8 knives, with only 2 at your disposal right now. But Ninja's never gonna struggle, because throw exists. I would be spending some time grinding and then using the guild to buy a bunch of broadswords in Tool to use as ammunition to get through to Carwin. Carlabos would likely be easily smacked around with just melee attacks, but I'm sure a few thrown broadswords kills him really quickly. Ninjas could grind for the 7 daggers you'd need to outfit them all from skeletons, or you could just rip straight over to Siren and crush her with thrown broadswords. Afterwards, you can buy your 7 daggers from Carwin, along with new longswords for throwing. Magisa and Forza should die easily to dual-wield attacks and throw. If Thief can beat them with 1 dagger, ninjas will crush them with 2. Once Magisa's down, you can take a Windrake trip to Tycoon for the Ashura Container and the Shuriken. The Ashura isn't equipable by a ninja, but it's ammunition for throw. Gorilla might pose a little bit of a challenge, but Throw still exists, and if you were so inclined, you could grind Ninja to unlock Image. This is only 40 ability points, and you may very well have it at this point. Not to mention you unlock Smoke Bomb along the way. You could very easily grab the Elf Cape from the Walls Castle basement by spamming Smoke for even more survivability. Blink from Image would completely shut down Gorilla, as all he does is physically attack. You just gotta maintain Blink on everyone while slicing chunks of delicious mammoth meat off slowly. I imagine continuing to throw longswords would also work easily. It's probably a little faster too. In Karnak, it's once again the standard Nat grind session to get equipped with 8 Mithril daggers, and likely more Mithril swords for throwing. Oh yeah, you also get the Moonring blade in the fireship for a bit of a power spike. I would strongly consider chucking the Ashura or Shuriken from Tycoon at Liquid Flame to just kinda get this over with. Geomancer's Tornado Form strategy is always available. Ninjas could just run Liquid Flame out of MP2. Karnak's escape sequence is all that's left. Snag the Elf Cape and the main Gauche, along with another Shuriken and a Lightning Scroll for future throw usage. Sergeant and his Knacks aren't ever gonna see what's coming. Karnak blows up, and look, how convenient. That's exactly where Ninja unlocks. Ninjas really would have had this real easy, just like the rest of their playthrough. Ranger should also be a complete freebie. Ranger starts with aim, so that's going to be the go-to command. Unless you're afflicted with blind, Rangers have 100% accuracy with aim from the very start of the game. Exactly like my boy Squall and his outlandish, innate 255% accuracy. Guy will never miss. Ranger is hard stuck with 2 daggers until the ship graveyard. What else is new? However, Ranger unlocks animals at like 15 ability points. Nightingale becomes available at level 10. It's not an unreasonable proposition to stay in the Wind Shrine until level 10. You should be able to beat everything incoming with the aim command and by spamming animals fishing for heals from Nightingale. Squirrel should also do more damage than your bare-handed Rangers at this point too. If you're gonna have one Ranger spamming animals, it's gotta be Lena, by the way. It's required. Ranger should have no problems with Carlobos, Siren, or Magisa. Gorilla may force Rangers to sit in the back row and get everyone on the animal spamming train, but he should go down fairly easily too. We've reached the standard Karnak grind session for some levels and equipment upgrades. This is a Ranger unique nuance. The best outcome on Liquid Flame is to kill it in its tornado form to get an early flame bow. If you could get that, it would help you immensely in the Ancient Library. It would be worth it to try, but it's completely dependent on dumb luck. You would need Liquid Flame to swap to its tornado form with low enough HP for you to finish it off with a physical. Although I suppose you could track how much damage you've dealt to Liquid Flame and throw potions at him to raise his health enough to force the tornado death outcome. Might be pretty cool to do. I'd probably just grug my way through the fight though. After Liquid Flame, we are once again in the Karnak escape sequence. The Elf Cape and Guardian Knife are standard gets, as well as bypassing Ironclaw's shenanigans by killing the Sergeant before he transforms. Now it's just a matter of getting through the Ancient Library featuring Ifrit and Byblos. Ifrit should be killable pretty easily, provided you can call on the power of the Nightingale's heals fast enough to counter his blazes. Byblos is usually a wall for most jobs due to lack of healing, but fishing for Nightingales, while unreliable, would keep Ranger alive better than most jobs could, honestly. If you got a flame bow from Liquid Flame, Byblos is completely cooked. No matter what happens, if push came to shove, you could grind until you mastered Ranger for Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire will easily destroy any resistance in your path. I slept-walked my way through the Ranger-only challenge the second Rapid Fire became available. You could just do this right away in the Wind Shrine, honestly, if you were so inclined. It's only 600 battles worth of ability points. That might be worth it for the ability to completely sleepwalk through every single random battle and boss encounter with Rapid Fire. They say Geomancer's the sleepiest guy in town, but Ranger might have him beat. Back on topic, once Byblos is down for the count, you can get some weapon upgrades in Jack Hole, grind some levels at Black Flame Island, or just go straight to Crescent to sink your fire ship and get your Ranger Shard from the Black Chocobo's gullet. Oh, and you can buy some elemental bows too now. Why not? I feel like most jobs will be able to get through to their official unlock relatively painlessly, and with minimal grinding. Except for Bard. Bard is going to suffer, and suffer hard. You don't get any songs or harps until you can get access to Crescent Island post-Byblos. So Bard is just a really, really bad physical attacker until then. Even worse than Summoner and Time Mage. Although, if you use party-wide hide in a random battle, you'll automatically flee, which is actually pretty good for getting through dungeons. It would potentially let you get the Elf Cape and Walls too, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Knowing what I know now, I would fully anticipate Bard requiring a ton of grinding, and farming no less than like 50 elixirs right out the gate. I would be very afraid of getting like genuinely hard stuck. I'd be forking my save before even attempting to take on Carlibos just in case. Carlibos should still be easy, but it'll be a long fight, probably requiring spamming a gross amount of potions. As soon as you reach the ship graveyard, bards are farming for 3 daggers from skeletons, there's no question about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Bard was also resting after nearly every single fight. You'll be forced to beat Siren through sheer attrition. Undead form potion chucking would be the best way for damage. I would also probably be sitting in the back row for this whole fight. Although now that I think about it, if you were playing on emulator, you could probably run both of Siren's forms out of MP. It's an option, but it would take a very long time. After that, you just have to grind Siren down, potentially at a disgusting like level 16 plus, I'm not even joking. Once you're out of the ship graveyard, you can at least get Phoenix Downs in Carwin and some new armor. Magis is going to be a crapshoot too. You could potentially hide to run her out of MP before she summons Forza. Regardless, this fight is going to be spamming potions and physically attacking. 2 bosses beating on you is going to be annoying. Levels, attempts, and elixirs is all you can really do. And you could try hiding. Once Magis is down, you just need to finish off Forza slowly, while spamming tons of healing items, no doubt. Thankfully, once you win, you get Hiryu, and you can go to Tycoon Castle, which has absolutely nothing for you. However, it does allow you to return to the Wind Shrine to grind more elixirs. The Wind Shrine is the fastest place to farm elixirs because mold winds are so weak compared to everything else in the game. I would definitely attempt to get the Elf Cape from the Walls Castle basement. Bards like Berserkers need all the help they can get. You can spam hide, and once the whole party's hiding, you get an instant escape from the Jackanapes. Some people are definitely going to suffer for the trip down to the basement though. Bards versus Gorilla will be tough, but if you arrive at the top with 99 potions and play it smart, you should be able to win. It's going to be a standard Bard butter knifing. Gorilla's susceptible to confusion, by the way, so alluring air would actually be really good here. What a joke that you don't actually get it until after you have access to the fire ship, huh? After a slow and steady Gorilla battle, Bards will finally make it to Karnak. Mithril daggers are a pretty substantial step up, but there's no way around it. Bards are going to be just like white mages and get hard stuck at Bioblos. You may as well rip the bandage off now and just grind to like 55 plus immediately. Especially since we all know what's coming. You may as well hunker down and get 99 elixirs while you're at it. We're gonna need them for Byblos, Adamantoise, the Soul Cannon, Archeoavis, and, you know, a bunch of other bosses too. Since we're gonna have to grind, you may as well do it right now. Buckle up, buckaroo. Days later, Liquid Flame will be annoying, no doubt. Bards will definitely be employing the run the forms out of MP strategy. You should be able to safely hide too if you're really desperate. Bards will be an absurdly high level at this point though, so you should be okay. Despite being very high level, Bard's killing power is still going to suck. So the main gauche is basically required. Gonna have to avoid everything else in the escape from Karnak. Random battles are gonna take too long, so you're gonna spam hide to run instantly. Then you're gonna have to beat the chest and beat whatever's in there to death. Afterwards, Bards are probably kinda low on time. I would run straight down to the Sergeant, kill him first to avoid Ironclaw, and then take out the Nax. If I had time, I'd go back for the second Elf Cape, but sadly that may not be a reality for Bards. Yes, I'm serious. 2 Elf Capes on Adamantoise specifically is really good, and only having one would kind of suck. But since I'm just conceding to grinding to 55 plus, you should be able to beat Ifrit fairly easily. You could also try hiding from him to run him out of MP to stop Fyros coming your way, but that doesn't stop 0 MP blazes from hitting you. All smiles, baby. I would not be surprised at all if Bards had to chug several elixirs on Ifrit, even at an absurdly high level. Speaking of chugging elixirs, you're probably going to use at least 50 alone on Byblos. I wish I was joking, but it's probably going to be exactly like White Mage only. Your only chance of victory is running Byblos out of MP to stop drain counters. Grinding to level 55 plus and a stockpile of 99 elixirs would not be an unreasonable conclusion to reach before beating Byblos. You could potentially run him out of MP with Hide and AFKing for a very, very long time, but I think it is version dependent. I didn't have any luck running Atmos out of MP during Bard only, but maybe 10 hours just wasn't long enough. Regardless, even without MP, Byblos is still no slouch. Windslash is always dealing a ton of damage, not to mention he has strong physical attacks. Then even though he has no MP and he can't buff with Protect or hit you with Slow, there's still Discord. You're in for a long fight, even if you completely run him out of MP right off the bat with Hide. But as we've established, every job can just win through attrition. Once Bards beat Byblos, you'll get access to the Fire Ship, and you can make a detour to Jackal for Mage Mashers. Probably a very good idea to head to Istri Falls too to buy some Angel Rings for the Soul Cannon, and a few Flame Rings too, you've obviously got the money at this point. You can then of course sink the Fire Ship at Crescent, collect the Bard Shard from Bingus, then go on tour to collect all of your songs. Finally. The good news is you're going to be like level 55, so there's no more grinding. Except for reflect rings in the barrier tower. Lol, Lamau even. That's Fire Crystal Part 2 down. All that's left is the Earth Crystal. Chemist is one of the most overpowered jobs in the game. It's got surprising physical stats, and it has innate pharmacology for 100 HP potions. 50 HP potions fall off pretty quickly, but 100 is significantly better. Chemist is just going to be a pretty easy start, but you gotta do the standard stuff. An initial grind for items and some early levels. You would unlock Mix quickly, but you don't really have the components to make use of it just yet. Chemists are crushing Carlobos by following up by farming 3 extra daggers. Maybe not. Siren's undead form would take 100 damage from potion chucking, so that's probably totally fine to get through to Carwin. Where you get an item restock and 3 daggers. Chemist is going to have no problems with Magisa and Forza. Probably no problems with Garula either. You're just going to need to stop and heal every so often, which is easy with those double health potions. At Karnak is where the run is really going to begin. Chemists can grind on wild knacks like everyone else, but uniquely they would probably prefer to grind on grass tortoises for turtle shells. The things you gotta do for mix ingredients. Turtle shells are pretty versatile with mix. Your main mixes would be 2 times turtle shell for protect and shell for longer fights, and turtle shell eye drop for haste, but probably not needed. Because you can mix a turtle shell with a maiden's kiss for succubus kiss. This does an absurd amount of damage and drains health from the enemy. Undead enemies all but dry up after the ship graveyard. I'm positive farming turtle shells and spamming succubus kiss is more than enough to crush all of Bartz's world. I mean, I used it to suck every single drop of fluid out of X-Death, so what chance does Arcuavis stand? Let alone Liquid Flame. You'll still want to do these standard pickups of Karnak's Elf Cape and the main gauche, because they're just good. Chemist will be able to give Byblos a taste of his own suckin' medicine with Succubus Kiss. After Byblos, Chemists are going straight down to Jack Cole to fully outfit the team with the best daggers Bartz's World has on sale, Mage Mashers. Once you reach Black Flame Island, it's good grinding, but you can also farm for Speed Shakes. This gives you access to haste through the drink command instead of mix. Grinding here is also standard in all runs, so this is a win-win. Honestly, with Mage Mashers, 100 HP potions, and on-demand haste, I don't see Chemist having any issues for the rest of Bartz's World, let alone sucking everything off with Succubus Kiss. I would definitely farm some more turtle shells before leaving Bartz's World though. That's just to tide you over until you reach Zaza's billion-dollar turtle farm in Galoof's World. Oh look, it's Samurai, another overpowered job. Not a whole lot worth talking about. Samurai's hard stuck with daggers at the start, but it does uniquely get access to the Ashura Container as soon as you beat Magisa and travel back to Tycoon. Samurai has shields and Shiradori, so it's not going to have any issues with early game survivability. You will be negating a ton of attacks. Carlobos, Siren, Magisa with Forza, and Garula specifically would have a bad time with all of those blocked physicals. If you were truly desperate on Garula, you can just have your Ashura Container Carrier be the main attacker, while everyone else sits in the back row and heals with potions, but I doubt that's needed for Samurai. Once you get to Karnak, there's another standard grind session for levels, gear, and a Scrooge McDuck pool full of gil. Samurai's Liquid Flame strategy could be the same as Geomancer, just run him out of MP. Or they could chuck a metric ton of gil at it and get the heck out of there. Time is money after all. The Zenny Cannon is exactly how you'd tackle Ifrit and Byblos. Samurais are just going to throw money at all of their problems. It's exactly like Ninja and Throw, with less shopping required. I would definitely be grabbing the main gauche and Elf Cape as I escape Karnak. The classic invincible samurai maneuver. Main gauche, a shield, Shiradori, and the Elf Cape all offering unique chances to dodge attacks. That should absolutely shut down Adamantoise. But before that, as soon as Byblos goes down, you'd want to detour to Jack Hole for 3 more Ashuras, and then you're kind of good for Bartz's World. You may as well do the Black Flame grind session now too, mostly to refill your wallet. If you were so inclined, you could grind out to Master Samurai for Ien Inuki and slaughter every random battle relentlessly for the rest of the game. Ien Inuki would be a pretty decent way to farm ammunition for the Zenny Cannon, but Samurais probably don't need to. Post-grind, Sandworm just requires you to hit the right target in a whack-a-mole game. Crayclaw and Adamantoise should be non-issues with those crit and containers. Samurai's option for the Soul Cannon is Angel Rings and Heals, or the Zenny Cannon to destroy the side launchers. Take a wild guess what I'd recommend. Honestly, it's probably just both anyways. Arcuavis just requires strong physical attacks to beat it down, which Samurai has in spades. Once Samurai is unlocked, it's smooth sailing for the rest of the game, as long as your wallet holds out. This may shock all of you, but Dancer is actually really good in the early game. This may not be a surprise to you if you're a Premium Buster supporter, since, spoiler alert, my Primo Fiesta was a Dancer start. A damn shame that Dancer falls off immediately after it unlocks. In the early game, MP pools are low, so it's feasible to completely drain an enemy's MP with Mystery Waltz. Tempting Tango's Confuse works on most enemies and even some of the bosses. Jitterbug drains for a consistent 200 damage. Unimpressive post-Earth Crystal, but shockingly powerful in the early game. It's better than Sword Dance early on, except on undead enemies. Sword Dance is still always reliable at 4 times damage though. Carlibos is immune to Tempting Tango, but a few Jitterbugs and Sword Dances and he's down for the count. Does Dancer need to farm for 3 daggers? I mean, sure, why not? Dance is gonna have to take a step back for the ship graveyard. There's too many undead enemies which will reverse my Jitterbugs, killing me. Grinding daggers does kinda suck, but the pain is eased when you get one on the very first kill. 3 daggers later and I'm slicing my way to Siren. Jitterbugs and Sword Dances come out in force and do good damage, and even Mystery Waltz's MP drain has given her the once-over. Unfortunately, Siren will probably swap to undead form, but 3 potions later and she's dead. Dancer's just completely styled on her. Into Carwin for some more armor and items, then it's mountaineering up the North Mountain. Ha! Lena's immune. Oh, right, I don't have a ribbon just yet. Magisa is getting styled on again. Tempting Tango whiffs, but everything else is a solid connection. Magisa calls Forza fast. Forza here is susceptible to Tempting Tango. He's enthralled by my dancing feet. A few more dances and Magisa's down. Forza never recovers from his confusion because Dance doesn't break it. Yeah, not even Sword Dance. That was easy. Hopping on Hiryu and flying to Waltz, where once again, Garula is susceptible to Confuse. Imagine Tempting Tango actually being useful. Dancers are dancing and completely styling on Garula, but those Mystery Waltzes were worthless whiffs. Garula hurts itself in its confusion, gets a couple of counters off, and then dies to even more dancing. Nobody died, but Garula proved that dancers have very low health. I did a brief grind session in Karnak to an above standard level 21 before tackling the fire ship. I ain't getting level 5 death this time, and I need the HP for Liquid Flame probably. There's a fire in the disco during Liquid Flame, but once you know it, he's also susceptible to Confuse. I still waited for Tornado form to run itself out of MP before really starting the battle. Dancers danced, getting value out of every unique step. Confusion, MP drains, HP drains, and 4 times damage from Sword Dance, of course. Liquid Flame's easily extinguished by my dancing feet. First things first, I gotta grab that ribbon from the chest, then I'm grabbing my best weapon, the Gauche, and the Elf Cape, of course. On the way out of Karnak, I focused down the Sergeant, and those knacks ran away in horror. Ah, sweet some shards, but they're not the job I'm looking for. Nope, that's a little ways off. Down to the Ancient Library. Ifrit is also susceptible to Confuse, so once again, Dancer is just crushing it. Bart's also got like a 1200 damage Sword Dance off with the main Gauche. Twice. I'm just spamming Dance and winning. Right up until Byblows. You knew it couldn't be completely free with the Dancer. Byblows took a whopping 2 attempts at level 21. This is almost entirely because I forgot to heal my party before the first attempt. I got nailed with back-to-back wind slashes and died. Tempting Tango whiffs, and Mystery Waltz is working on Byblos, but he's got way too much MP to deal with. I'm fishing for Sword Dances like the good old days. It's just a matter of getting lucky with my dances and avoiding the more debilitating status effects from Byblos. This playthrough's also not going the distance, so spoiler alert, I threw some elixirs, don't tell anybody. Eventually, I wore down Byblos and sailed down to Jackhole for Mage Mashers. Then I moved over to Black Flame Island to grind. Dancers beating the Soul Cannon in any reasonable length of time is a dream, unless you get insanely lucky with Sword Dances. I pushed myself to level 34 and bought 4 times Angel Rings to dodge old. Oh, right. But first, it's just smacking around Shai Hulud with knives in a whack-a-mole game. Crayclaw is a joke no matter how you slice it. Adamantoise is pretty scary for my low-health dancers, but all you need is a few solid Sword Dance procs. So thank God nothing but Mystery Waltzes and Tempting Tangos came out. Somehow the gang pulled through after I was almost dead to take him out. Sword Dance is pretty good after all. The Soul Cannon sucks for dancers even with Angel Rings on, but that's not surprising. Dancers are totally reliant on getting near instant Sword Dances on the side launchers to stop the gravity-based attacks. Once both side launchers are gone, the fight gets a heck of a lot easier. As long as dancers are getting a few jitterbugs in between the inevitable wave cannons, you can stay alive easily. Full disclosure though, I throw a few more elixirs. All that's left for dancers to do is that darned Clapperclaw Archeo Avis. We back to Sword Dance fishing. When Sword Dances do come out, they're over 1000 damage for a Mage Masher, and like 1600 for the main Gauche. 1600 is enough to clear out a form all on its own. Maybe it's just my luck, or my levels, but I just spammed Dance and made it through completely brainlessly. The Wind Crystal shatters and that's where Dancer unlocks for real. There's only one job left. The degenerate Dragooners don't get access to spears until after you beat Liquid Flame. They're in poverty mode with daggers like the rest of the jobs. The difference is Dragoons actually have pretty decent physical stats, at least compared to the non-physical attacking jobs. They can also use shields. If you've watched the SJC, you've seen Dragoon's one and only strategy: spamming party-wide jump. Jump is at its best when everyone's doing it. Party-wide jumping is a totally viable way to beat pretty much everything in the game. If Dragoons ever did end up in some kind of pickle, you could grind 160 ability points for Dragon Sword. This is an HP and MP drain of the power of a strong sword swing at this point. Sucking off everything in Bartz's world is probably a pretty solid way to win, but I'm sure jump is better in most circumstances. As soon as you crush Garula, you get access to spears, which doubles the effectiveness of jump attacks. But spears still kinda suck. Regardless, it should make the rest of the game a lot easier. Even as a Dragoon, I would still go out of my way to grab the Gauche and get the Elf Cape during Karnak's escape sequence. Both jumping and sucking with Dragon Sword would lead to reliable ways of beating both the book-based bosses in the library. Once you've beaten Byblos, you can head down to Jackhole for Tridents. Tridents are lightning elemental, which is good in some circumstances and kind of bad in others. Conveniently, they're really good for the next few fights, specifically Crayclaw and the Soul Cannon. Dragoons could time their jumps to dodge the Wave Cannon from the Soul Cannon. Seems like a pretty good way to beat that boss. A real shame that Dragoons unlock after that. I guess this is a little bit like how you're supposed to beat Garula in Final Fantasy III. Whoa, what? Spoilers? About the only noteworthy nuance to consider for Dragoon is on Arcuavis. Dragoons would have to downgrade Lightning Elemental Tridents to non-elemental Mithril Spears from Karnak for the final form. Or resort to daggers like a chump. Dragon Sword is also probably pretty okay. Considering the amount of Maelstrom in that final phase, sucking is probably a good strategy. And what other ability are you even going to equip on a Dragoon? Once Arcuavis is down, you've got Dragoon unlocked, which is the last of the Earth Crystal jobs, and the last job in general. That's a wrap, folks! Hopefully that answers all of your questions regarding jobs pre-Crystal unlock. The reality is the game knows when the jobs unlock and only gives you their job-based equipment and tools once you've gained access to them. As a result, there is a lot of homogenization in doing the SJCs before they unlock. There's kind of a lot of homogenization in the SJCs in general. Almost every single job is getting a near free pass to their Crystal unlock. There just aren't that many insurmountable obstacles in the early game. The difficult and unique mechanics start to ramp up around Byblos. The only job that's going to have any real issues is going to be Bard, but that should surprise nobody. Thanks for watching Backlog Buster, and a special double thank you to my blessed Buster boys for your continued support. I'll catch you all in the next video, for something completely different.